Hi everyone, just wanted to make a video about a project that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. I've called it Zippy, and basically just a small tank. It's fully 3D printed. It's got 4 motors in it. It's got an on and off switch, a indicator LED, and it's controlled by the Xbox controller. So the way I've got it programmed is I've got forwards and then backwards, and then each of these controls the wheel independent. And then just for ease of use, I've also coded these buttons to have forwards and backwards, just where you're doing long ways forwards, you don't have to hold both of those. What I actually want to do in this video is actually take it apart, because this is version 2. It's not the definitive version. I want to spend some time improving it, but I'll just go over what I've put into the inside of it. So in here we've got the indicator LED, and that runs. Let me just grab some of this. Yeah, it's not great. I'll be honest, it's not great. So I've got a back converter for the Raspberry Pi Zero that's in here. I'll explain why I've used the Raspberry Pi Zero in a minute. I've got a bunch of batteries that I have been charging in a very unsafe way, but and a motor controller in here. It's a little 6-volt motor controller, but I'm using 7.4 volts because why not? Let me just unscrew the wrong screwdriver. So yeah, I've got 6 batteries connected in, 2 of these in series and then all of these in parallel, which gives me 7.4 volts. And then the way I charge them is I've got these 2 lovely wires here that are sticking out of the top of it, and I just plug them into my power supply and charge them that way. It's not a permanent solution. I'm not proud of the solution, but it worked. I've got a Raspberry Pi Zero in here. It was in a little baggie just because it rains in England a lot. Sometimes it can get a bit wet. I used to take it out on kind of daily excursions and just drive around with it, and that's how I killed my first Raspberry Pi. Yeah, apart from that, there's not much to see in here. It's pretty much just these kind of cheap geared yellow motors that you kind of see all over Amazon, and they're fine. They're not the greatest. I probably won't. I won't use them again. I'm actually hoping to use much better motors in the next revision. Maybe I was looking into maybe stepper motors, but I will still look into it. Yeah. The only problem with the treads that I found is I've had to add hot glue to them just to make them a bit more grippy, but the hot glue peels off after a while, so not a permanent solution. I was considering printing them in a slightly more flexible filament, something like Ninja Flex, but we'll get to that. And they're just held together with see if I can pop one out. The answer is no. Yeah, they're just held together with some toothpicks. Took a bunch of time to print. I think each of these was maybe, I want to say like 10 hours of printing. Not the worst, but you know, my printer's not the fastest. I'm using an Ender 3 Pro, slightly modified. It's got a direct extruder on it, just so I can print some flexible filaments. So yeah, these did their job. This is the second set that I've printed, and yeah, they roll pretty smoothly considering. Let me put those on the side. I'm just gonna keep disassembling it for now. the motors are actually, oopsie. So the motors are actually glued in place. That's because I didn't have the right screws, and from version 1 I've already known the limitations of these motors, so I knew I wasn't really going to use them in anything else. So I just decided to go, screw it, and it's a mixture of super glue and some hot glue in there. Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize I ripped that out. I mean, it makes sense. I did lug this around for a bit, and he did go down a few, he might have fallen off a tabletop or two. But yeah. So, I've got one motor driver for both these sides, and these sides are just connected in reverse. So that when this motor goes forwards, this motor goes backwards, but forwards. Yeah. So if I just unplug that, I can unplug this from the, that's not supposed to be like that, but oh no, I disconnected it. Okay, oh well. Right, let's disconnect the battery completely from this. I'm really not proud of that battery. I was hoping to get some sort of a, I was hoping to have a better solution for this that has some battery protection stuff in it, but yeah, that next version. Right, in here we just have a power switch and the LED. The code I've made for this as well, it runs Python, and all it does is look for the controller. When the controller connects, it just it opens up some GPI opens. It has no speed controls. Hopefully in the next revision I'll add that, because I do have control. I do have the pressure sensitivity of these triggers, and I was hoping to use that, but for the time being it was easier just to not implement that, so I didn't. I'm also using this buck converter here. I did use a smaller one for a while, but I wanted to keep track of some voltages, and this one had a little display on it. Let me get that. It's over here, and I just had to extend it with some jumper wires, so I can't actually connect it back now. But yeah, I had that going out of the front through this hole, just to sort of have a look at the voltages going through. Yeah, it starts going really slowly around 5.8 volts. Like when it's fully charged, it can go around walking speed, like he'll keep up with normal walking, and then the more and more it drops, the slower it goes. But the Raspberry Pi seems to have a constant current, so at least that's good. So like I said, I did have this in this little bag. Not an ideal solution, but it did keep it away from water. Better solution would probably be to either have a better case for it, or just have it somewhere where water can't really access it. I was considering putting it on top, but then every so often he does like to do a backflip, so yeah, didn't want to do that. Yeah, these motor drivers, they're really cheap. I think I got 5 of these for like less than a tenner. They're really cheap. And this LED is just an RGB LED that I control with GPI opens. I should probably mention, I didn't actually design the 3D print for this tank. It's designed by somebody on Thingiverse. I'll have their link in the description of this video. But yeah, it's a really good model. Its biggest drawbacks are genuinely just the motors that I've used, and they are the ones that have been recommended for this build. And they're good if it's just a toy that's just gonna like run around the house. But for what I want to do is I actually want to take it out for like for like rides in the forest and stuff. And these motors are they're not the greatest at it. They're completely fine on yeah, these motors are just not strong enough to pull this very often. It's completely fine on things like pavement or concrete, but as soon as you get on grass, he struggles a lot. It puts a lot of strain on the motors, and if you want to turn on grass, the gearbox in the motors just starts grinding and making a truly despicable sound. So it's one of the reasons I'm taking it apart now, because I'm pretty sure one of the motors is one of the back motors has been grinding so much that I think it's basically done with, and I'm either assuming the gearbox actually, I forgot to turn the light on. That's hopefully better. Yeah, one of these motors has started grinding pretty badly whenever I'm yeah, this chassis design is it's really good. It's one of the better ones I found. I've experimented with another one. The version 1 of this was a really bare bones version, and you can see every so often I post them on Reddit, and you can see the first one was basically just the tracks and emptiness. Yeah, the only things I added to the model is these, and I didn't really go far beyond that. I did also add these 2 holes for the power switch, and what was meant to be a USB and a micro USB port because of the charge controller I was hoping to use, but then the charge controller kind of screwed up on me, so I couldn't use it. So I was just kind of stuck with this awkward hole, and then I put an indicator LED in it. I wanted to have the indicator LED anyway, but I wanted to have a dedicated hole for it, but it just ended up being easier sticking it through there. I can't actually take this power switch out now. There we go. Nothing better than some destructive force. Yeah, these wheels attach to the motors just by this little piece here, and that kind of keeps it from lets it slide back and forth without being too rigid on the motors. It works surprisingly well. I don't know if it's a design I'm going to implement in my in the version 3 of this, but you know, it's good to consider it. Yeah, and that's basically what makes this this whole thing tick. And now that I've got it fully taken apart, let's I actually have to hoover my desk because I have bits of grass from the last time we